Every day, we're here for you. We get things off the ground, keeping you connected. We're here keeping you safe and secure. We keep things running smoothly and know the importance of giving back. Every day, we're here. ARA, here for you, here for good.
Hi there. If you have a child with special needs and you're considering which school to send them to in 2026, but you're looking for a school that's run by a modern leader who really cares about the people around them and takes pride in sending their students and staff home at the end of the day, happier than they were when they arrived, then you're in luck. The principal of St Edmunds College in Wahroonga, a school for special needs children in years 5 to 12, is Vanessa and that's exactly the kind of leader Vanessa is. Vanessa is kind and humble, and she'll make time for anybody who wants to have a chat, regardless of their status in society or their perceived importance. If a school thrives from the head down, it's no wonder that every single person at St Edmunds seems to be beaming with happiness. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome to Everyday Greatness the Principal of St Edmunds, Vanessa Dillon. Vanessa, thank you and welcome to Everyday Greatness.
Thank you so much, Barnaby.
Now, before I start though, I believe you have something you want to say.
I do, and I think this is a really beautiful message to be sharing right now. It's a shout out and a congratulations to Phil McDonald, because I believe, Phil, that you've recently welcomed Stella Joanne McDonald into your family. What a beautiful, beautiful occasion. Congratulations.
Good job, Phil. So, Vanessa, you've been described, by me at least, as somebody who's got time for everybody. And if you don't have time, you'll make time. Mm-hmm. Where does that generous, gracious attitude come from?
I think having grown up in a family where you were heard, I was in a very loving, supportive family growing up, always had time to be listened to by my parents. I had a voice. I had that opportunity to know the value of being listened to, but also to listen back. And so I think making time for people shows value to the person. Giving time to people allows them to be heard, but also allows them to be more than just a name or a face to you. I think coming to know the person, their life, their story is something that I've always been curious about. Always been curious about people. Where it is that we come from that shapes who we are.
If you ever wondered what modern leadership looks like, that's it in the flesh. That's incredible, Vanessa. Thank you. So what inspired you to get into education, especially helping kids with special needs?
I have been in education now for 26 years, but I knew when I was in year 10 that this was a vocation that I was going to pursue. So back then we had the opportunity to do work experience. I didn't know if I wanted to do early childhood or if I wanted to do primary education. The work experience helped me choose my vocational pathway, which was more primary education. I was always someone at school who loved learning, but had incredible teachers that allowed for me to have a thirst for learning. My parents always valued education. I grew up in a low socioeconomic area, but was always encouraged to have hopes and dreams and goals to achieve. I never felt that there was going to be limitations put on me if I wanted to keep on learning and growing. And I saw an enormous opportunity I had as a teacher to instill that in whatever student or whoever I came across. I realised it's a privileged position to be in, to have that level of influence and impact on a young person. And I felt like it was something that I could give back. I've always been service-minded in giving back to others, to allowing people to reach their full potential, to uncover a capacity within themselves that maybe they didn't realise they had, for them to feel empowered to pursue a path or to embrace challenges, because learning should challenge us. So I think going into education was a natural fit. When I was there, I started my teaching career up on the Central Coast, which is a really diverse region by way of students and families and needs. And class sizes of 34 help you learn pretty quickly how best to connect with the students. I think when you find a connection and build relationship, then anything can come from that. I was always the teacher that put their hand up for the unique personalities that were on offer. So whilst my beginnings were in mainstream, I know that I had a lot of spunky characters over my time that helped me understand disability, intellectual disability, neurodiversity. The pathway from mainstream into special needs education happened about 9 years ago, when I took the opportunity to go to another school for young people with disability, which is St Lucy's. And from there, I found my way to St Edmunds, and there's no regrets.
Well, I'm sure everybody at St Edmunds is glad you did. So let's talk about St Edmunds.
Yes.
There's an environment here where people seem to go, so I know this firsthand, my wife is a teacher's aide here.
Yes.
And people tend to go home happier at the end of the day than they were when they arrived at school. It's a very unique position in any sort of business work environment. How do you intentionally create that kind of atmosphere?
It's lovely feedback to receive. I think what I realise is it's important for me to bring about a sense of community. If people feel a sense of community in their workplace, they have that sense of belonging, and with that, a sense of being valued. I don't always, because of the busyness of my day, but I don't like days where I haven't seen everyone. I like to have said hello to everyone or had some type of interaction with everyone. I know that my calendar doesn't always allow for that, but having a presence in the community is something that I do value as a leader. And equally, fostering a sense of we're all in this together. You know, it takes a village to raise a child. There's that beautiful gospel reference about the body having many parts, but the body can't function without all the parts, in a sense. You know, that one thing can't do what the other. It's that sense of coming together, recognising the worth that each of us bring to this community. And if we feel valued by way of what we contribute, even on days when there's challenges, if we can find moments of joy, then maybe it's because we've all got an understanding of what the purpose is that brings us here. And we live and breathe that every day in our connections with each other, but in particular with the students.
Beautifully said. I'm sorry, I realised I was really rude. I said my wife works here.
Yeah.
My wife is Julia Kickett Howarth. She's the most beautiful woman in world history, and I love you, my darling.
She's a gem.
There you go. She's a gem. So every staff member and child here seems to have this oozing kindness and humility.
Yeah.
Are there any practical steps you take to instill that, or is it just the way you roll and people follow?
I'm not mindful of it. I think it is part of who I am. And if that helps to impress upon others a similar type of way of being, then that's great. It's great for culture. But also sometimes there's strength in our humility. Sometimes it's a matter of knowing that we really are no more significant than anyone else. Yes, we might have labels and titles attributed to us that bring with it different responsibilities or different challenges. However, I wouldn't want to be someone that feels as though they're any more important than anyone else. I don't think that's sustainable in a community if it all just sits with one or two people. You know, tapping into the wisdom, the strength, the skills of everyone is something that I value as a leader. I know I don't have all the answers. I'm quite transparent around who I am. I share my vulnerabilities, the staff and students and the parents, and the humanness of us is sometimes what makes us unique. Yeah, and our values too. So here at the school, our values are that of joy and faith and community and relationships. And I think when you look to actively live those values in your environment, in your school community, then it will bring about a sense of kindness. And for me, you know, I understand that everyone has their own story and their own reason for behaving in ways that they might. So even in those moments where you might be challenged by a perspective or a behaviour of a fellow colleague, I try to maintain dignity and respect for the person, knowing that none of us are perfect and, you know, we're all going to respond to things in many and varied ways. For me, it's more about understanding why that might happen and what it is that I can do to either bring about some level of support or some level of clarity or some level of guidance. Yeah, I see that.
Very cool. Very cool. Excuse me one second, Vanessa.
Yeah.
There are some really kind and generous people in today's world, and I want to call a couple of them out today. The first person I want to call out is former Australian Wallaby, Richard Toms. One of our recent events on Everyday Greatness was held at Rugby Australia. That was all because Richard came to one of my previous events before that and said, you need to do your next one of those at Rugby Australia.
Nice.
So I want to thank Richard Toms and all of the staff at Rugby Australia for being so kind and generous, which seems to be the theme of the day.
Yes.
For being so kind and generous and humble, and for hosting us so graciously at Rugby Australia. So thank you, Richard. What makes St Edmunds so unique in the way it teaches kids with special needs and the way they look after them as human beings rather than just as school students?
I know that I am very fortunate to be part of a really rich history and legacy in that space. So next year we'll be celebrating 75 years of facilitating education and learning for young people with disability. As a school, and with all the leaders that have been before me, realising that everyone deserves to learn and grow, no matter what might be their perceived limitations, should be the focus. And I think in our school here at St Edmunds, individualising that learning, having the students have a voice in their learning, setting with them goals for them to achieve and working with them to achieve that is one part of it, but so is the forming of relationships. I think when each student feels known by the many staff who work here, then naturally they're going to have a confidence and a capacity in which they can reach their full potential. And so much of what we are about is not looking at what might be on the piece of paper as they enrol by way of their diagnosis or their disability. It's more, what is it that they can do in the 6 to 8 years that they're with us to become young people who are confident to embrace a post-school life that has independence at its core and purpose at its core. So we have a very broad offering of subjects. You know, we offer amazing options such as French and maths and English and science and TAS and HSIE and PDHPE and sport and workhead, like the normal offerings that would be for any other student in a mainstream school setting. But our staff are so specialised in the way in which they adjust that content to be at a level in which the students not only access the learning and make sense of it, but then continue to grow from it. And I think for a parent who's looking for a community that sees their child for who they are, but also sees in them the potential that's to come, then a school like St Edmunds would be a wonderful place to have them.
Very cool. So what advice would you give to those parents you just talked about who are considering what school to send their kids to?
I'm a parent myself. I know what choices need to be made in finding a learning setting that is going to have a huge role to play in their child's life. There is so much choice out there these days for young people with intellectual disability, and there should be. What we offer by way of choice is a very close-knit community, 5 to 12 co-ed, no more than 140 students on site, specialist staff, whether they're teaching or non-teaching, that facilitate the operational and educational needs of the students. But also when we enrol the student, we enrol the family. We want to get to know everyone that is in that child's life so that they also feel a sense of belonging, connecting, and warmth and welcome. So I think it would be a relief for a lot of parents to send their child here knowing that the children themselves are safe, that they're happy, that they're learning and that they're growing, and we're setting them on a pathway of independence post-school. But equally, they're coming into a community where they will also be known the family, the siblings, the pastoral support that each family provides one another. Everyone comes with a level of understanding and knowing both the challenges but also the beauty that sits with our incredible young people.
It's a very good answer. I think relief is probably a very good word for this environment and for this school. So tell me how the broader Wahroonga community and the local community helps add to the success of St Edmunds College.
Wahroonga is a really unique suburb by way of its schools. There are so many schools in this suburb, and they can be Catholic schools, department schools, private schools, and special education schools. So the community has always known of education being quite vibrant in this area. The way in which we feel incredibly supported by the local community is the way in which they get involved with attending our art show, come and watching us at the Wahroonga Village Fair when our students perform, when we're out and about, because our students access the community a lot. There's a lot of community participation down at the local shops, in the local village, on the trains. They're seen and they're spoken to by the locals. We have work experience opportunities with local businesses that take our young people on board one day a week. Very inclusive. So not only is the inclusive sense created here at St Edmunds, it's created in the broader community. And I think that is very powerful these days, where sometimes there might be a greater mindset around us and them. It's definitely not what we experience here in Wahroonga and even other areas of Sydney that we go to.
Very cool.
Very embraced.
Excuse me one second again, Vanessa. So just to add to the kind, gracious, generous people in the world, I want to shout another one of those. Jenny Sager is the CEO of the WNBL. Jenny did me the honour of being a panellist at my event in Rugby Australia recently, and I was blown away, humbled that she even said yes to being on the panel. After the event, she sent me a message inviting me to the launch of the WNBL season in Melbourne. And there was no corporate business reason why Jenny Sager or the WNBL would get any advantage or corporate helping up from me being there. There was just a good human being helping a dude out who might have been interested. So Jenny Sager, thank you so much, and I really appreciated it, and I appreciate your kindness. So let's talk about your students here at St Edmunds.
Yes.
Just to backtrack a minute, we had a few students interviewed a second ago, and you're watching over in the corner, and you just seem to be gushing with pride.
Yeah.
How proud do you feel when you see these young children becoming contributing human beings under your guidance?
That's the thing. I don't know that's entirely to do with me. And I know that's a humble statement, but I think it's more what we allow for in that wraparound so that they can be their true selves. Seeing their authenticity, seeing their truth, seeing their incredible talents and abilities is what we are very privileged to observe each and every day. So to give them a platform in which others can come to know that makes us feel a little less selfish because I learn every day from them. You know, there's incredible resilience in each of them and there's incredible joy in each of them as well. Never have I learnt from them to give up. Never have I learnt from them to not be grateful. And never have I learnt from them that limitation is the box that I need to stay in. So when they engage in an opportunity like this and they have that chance to showcase who they are, what they have to offer, the joy, the gratitude, the outside the box opportunities, it's incredibly rewarding. And of course it's a proud moment, but it's allowing them to shine and they deserve that.
Well, Vanessa, that's probably the perfect place to end this conversation. But thank you so much for joining me. I feel like a better human being just sitting in the vicinity of you, so thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Barnaby. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I want to thank the ARA Group for being our major sponsor for the 12th season in a row. I want to thank Rory Forbes-Lang for his work behind the cameras and the microphones. I want to thank ETS Rubasha Media for the social media promotion and producing this podcast. I want to thank Vanessa and the staff at St Edmunds College for being so gracious and welcoming. I hope you can join us on our next episode where I'll be speaking to the author of an upcoming book, Stories of Miraculous Transformations, Trueness Goggins, and one of the contributing authors, Travis Andrews. It's going to be a captivating conversation, so I hope you can join us. But thank you again, Vanessa, and St Edmunds College.
Thank you, Barnaby.